Consider how language runs your individuality in circles by exploiting explanatory terms. Society pays tribute to language, yet it inverses the acuity of your intellect by immersing perception into the mantle of individuality consecrated to patterns of expression. Consider how many years of training goes into the act of speech. Silently observe when sound is eliminated from a video of a person consumed by such act. Observe particularly how human behavioral norms seem entirely focused on verbal, non-verbal, and other expression of conveyances. Humans have become the interpolation of contextual service, cloaking their inner countenance. Linguistic patronage hides insidious elements inside the articulation participants call their own. Language is not neutral. It functions as a platform to control and limit behavior to its understandable limits. Inside the construct of language, plied by a variety of contexts, lies assertive expression of intent, parlayed into norms which support successful stakeholders of a given reality. But are we not pawns driven to excel by contextual directives in which ownership and other extrinsic motivators dress all participants as mere players? And context demonstrates preferences. The term responsibility, for instance, fuels limited judicial and financial assemblages. Corporation and teachers have widely dissimilar connection to the term. Any discovery asymmetrically absconded by associative contexts employed to explain it loses its originality of form, purpose, or characterized distinctions. It is immersed in the propagation of the known as just one more explanation amongst many other explanations. But those are the obvious traps. The umbrage of dimensional comprehension is an entrapment few of us can investigate, as speech misdirects our perception into thinking it clarifies by explaining. Is it possible to gain perceptual independence through explanations? Explanations have a circular compact to them. They are subservient to normative antecedents accepted as associative contexts, supporting the known of this reality. If circular compacts model our explanations, why are we not seeing it? We are blinded by coherence. Coherence is not clarity. Coherence is a contextual rule, a linguistic dependent to a comprehensive state of mind. This comprehensive reality gathers contextual edifices with subservient participants. Think of it this way. Religions, politics, nations, ideas all demand subservience, and they reorient reality to a descriptive position. When humans are allied to contextual edifices, they become contextual tenets. Communism is the ideology in which context rules all tenets. However, that is a misnomer, since communism has a pyramidal structure, and those at the top rule the rest. The US represents equality amongst tenants who pursue their context of choice, although choice is misrepresented here. Can freedom of choice practiced by contextual tenants be freely chosen? Contextual freedom and perceptual freedom are entirely separate visions of reality. Many people are contextual participants or tenants. They are reared from childhood into contextual advocacy. It's part of their identity. I am a Republican or Democrat, an American, Russian, Chinese, or whatever nationality you adhere to. I am rich or poor. I am this or that. These are contextually relevant assemblages. Look, it's quite simple. Context enrolls human beings into thinking they are free. Yet contextual oversight of any meaning, regardless of human aspirations, turns humans into servants. It's a type of matrix. At school, children are conditioned into extrinsic motivational acceptance. Are failing children given the opportunity to learn from their mistakes, or are they graded then classified into systemic failure? If children are poorly graded and continue into systemic failures, what are the long-term effects on society? Good education is contextually allied to good grades, yet good grades don't empower students into great learning experiences. What does? Good students are enticed through grades into contextual service. High grades motivates them while in school. Once out of school, learning is not linked as a paradigm to perceptual agility, versatility, and adaptability. These kids, now adults, strive for success within the field assigned to the skills they excel in. But an extrinsic relationship, once established, does not produce lifelong learning beyond the impetus for success. Education is an idealized contextual edifice. It funnels and spews out children regardless of outcomes, but through what practices? In certain areas, less than 60% graduate high school, while others graduate with minimal grades. Many kids who rebel from contextual subversions will joyfully participate in learning that empowers them. They want to attend school. Look at jumpmath.org. Students master math for the fun of it. The majority of high school students excel in math through guided discovery. Are children agile learners when they graduate so they can master an adaptation to an ever-changing world, or are they operationally bound for contextual service? Do you know the difference? Agile means adaptable, self-directed, autonomous, self-reliant, creative, highly productive and successful. Adults from that stock get that life is a continuous learning experience. They are self-reliant, adaptable, successful participants who won't need a handout. Difficulties are seen as challenges, great work ethics. Contextually bound means perception runs solely by understanding, situational and other awareness at contextual default levels, linear not as creative. Personality is positional, reactionary, structured, rigid mentality. Poor adaptability skill set, prone to diametrical positions and extremism, fixated on and driven by extrinsic motivational variances often encouraged by authoritarian parental and school practices. These children become representatives of perceptual states they must defend. We train people at school into contextual dependency through extrinsic motivation, which then mirrors out into their lives. Don't kid yourself about the consequences of this type of matrix. Ignore it at your own peril. Here is an example of wartime contextual advocacy versus perception outside the norm. Look up on YouTube the story of Sir Arthur Currie or the Battle of Vimy Ridge. Currie won every battle he was involved in. He was a self-taught textbook Canadian general during WW1. He challenged the rhetoric of assumptions of how to fight war. The battles he won put an end to World War I. Check out how he did it. Dependent participation and constructs are led by perceptual states allegiant to continuity, coherence, and extrinsic motivators. Yet nothing remains the same. Are we equipping children as flexible, versatile participants? Knowledge is discovering the agency to the assumptions mentoring the unassailable position you live in. And discover this, many unknowingly become actors of an agenda they are subservient to, and while probing for solutions through explanatory terms are unaware of the mechanism they practice in their query, which keeps them there. Contrary to scientific preoccupation, the world is not its explanation, no matter how functionally descriptive. Intrinsic subjectivity reveals an innate, indigenous, and fundamental human agility, a human predisposition to participate beyond what is known, endorsed, or recognized. While perceptual normality objectifies surroundings in a cohesive and comprehensive outlook, understanding thinking explanations are tools of context, and they network a collaborative interdependence to a linear interpretations of reality by descriptive means. Language projects a contextual cognizance so convenient and effective, we forget we are merely using contextual tools at our disposal rather than to project overall awareness. There is a perceptual juxtaposition that parallels discovery, and it goes like this. Discoveries match the tools of engagements. Human beings bound to contextual oversight have limited options. They roam within the range of entanglements matching the tools of discovery, and if those tools are shackled to linear representations, so are its discoveries. It's a handshake paradigm between two compatible designs. The tools of context are incompatible with many other promising paradigms which would open the door to a multitude of discoveries. These discoveries would alter the world as we know it. What are the tools of context again? Understanding, explaining, thinking, and other linguistic interpretive designs. She building steps, walking up, or she walks up the steps and enters the building. Get it, we are trained into it. Crazy, right? But don't overthink this. Context creates a dimensional assignment, but it survives as a contrived arrangement where words have no flexibility beyond meaning and contextual orchestration. The danger to a linear arrangement is that we fit ourselves into it. We then perceive ourselves as a reflection of those arrangements. Those who favor understanding as the only tool in their toolkit don't get the limitation it imports on versatility. To these humans, understanding is an articulation of dependency. That functional dependence contrives to manage us in such a surreptitious manner we no longer see the play nor what is at stake. Its membership is contextualized into a role with all the subsequent affiliations provided by language as the means to participate. The mystery to our perceptual addictions can be traced to our inability to decipher from our perceptual habits the contrivances which inject us into the known as a player to its predominance. The structured paradigm of speech traps perception into its defined perspective. Speech is parlayed into a directive due to the comprehensive nature urging its necessity. Language, as a descriptive relevant, is an added lens that forces participants to look at reality through a contextual front, described, categorized, explained, and understood. Translation of experience into an understandable interpretation procures an incomplete description of a non-linear event. Human beings are not their description. Objectified shared interpretations put the subjective experiential side of humans to sleep. Language cannot ascribe any clarification on this subject. It projects a linear representation to a perceptual contraction prejudiced by linguistic representation. And while this comment merely generalizes particular links towards the unknown, they hint towards aspects of our lives to which we are insufficiently exposed, masking the essential nature of its overall presence. Context coaches human beings into representing its interests, day in and day out. If all you think is about money, the job you work that works you, what have you become? Can you step outside the politics you represent? Do the things you own you? Context maintains many roles, yet ruling or managing human beings is decidedly and unequivocally not one of them. Wars are contextually driven, and if attacked, defend yourself vigorously. Human beings free from contextual imposition can see what's coming. Perception free of contextual immersion embraces clarity. Look, the danger to a linear comprehension of facts is that it lives inside a sentence. And And if this does not rearrange your sense of reality, call Alice in Wonderland and ask her what this really means. And if you are still waiting after you've heard nothing in her reply, it's because she understood and you didn't. No one is asking you to give up contextual participation. But how involved are you in your own contextual assimilation? Are you on automatic for most of the day? Are you a contextual robot? Go there, come here, do this and that, and be quick about it. Observe how you operate your individuality, or how individuality as a contextual servant operates you. Then ask yourself, are you making your choices, or is context making them for you? Are you even aware of the difference? teach2learning.com. Come visit us.